I found it very interesting when you said you were more of a Chardonnay woman than you were a Riesling woman. Actually, I think you used the word girl, so I'll say that. But,
Yes.
but I kind of understand that, and I think I'm with you on that. So let's speak about Ontario Chardonnay.
Chardonnay is a varietal that is fairly easy to grow, and so it grows everywhere in the world. There is now more and more Chardonnay. It's the proportion of Chardonnay and Riesling that is growing in the region is about the same. So if you like Chardonnay, you're gonna have like lots of opportunity to taste Chardonnay. You can go with Chardonnay that is just super fresh and very elegant with no oak, like 13th Street Chardonnay if you want, but you can go with some more ambitious Chardonnay, the Vineyard Cuvée at Hidden Bench, for example,
Sure.
or the Clausen Chase that is doing right now as an amazing Chardonnay with less oak than there was in the past. So
Yes,
wine that
yes,
are
agreed.
really drinkable, very fresh. I love that varietal. I think it is a varietal that has found its identity in the region for still wine, but as well for sparkling.
Let's move on to a variety that I think is a little bit overlooked in Ontario at times, but is one of the more popular varieties in the world, and that is Sauvignon Blanc. How do we fare when it comes to Sauvignon Blanc in Ontario?
Sauvignon Blanc is tough. It's a tough varietal to grow in the region, and that's why we don't see that much.
That's because of the winter kill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This being said, I rediscovered some very good Sauvignon Blanc while I was searching for the Ritz, because people are asking for Sauvignon Blanc all
Right,
the
I can
time.
imagine, yeah.
So I wanted to have Sauvignon Blanc in my one program.
But
and-
not necessarily New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, which people would defer to automatically.
Well, I wanted to have a Sauvignon Blanc for the Club Lounge. That would be a Sauvignon Blanc that would be
That
local.
was Canadian, yeah. Or local.
So in my search, I did find some very interesting Sauvignon Blanc, and here I'm thinking of Organized Crime. He's doing a
I
very
see.
good Sauvignon Blanc.
They have some funny labels, don't they?
Yeah, but what's in the bottle is delicious.
Right.
The Fumé Blanc from Henry of Pelham for the price, wow.
I'll have to check that out. I haven't tasted that.
If
In
you
a
like
while.
Bordeaux Blanc, you're going to be very happy with that
Okay.
style. And we showcased the Leaning Post Sauvignon Blanc. That was a great in-between where you have just a kiss of oak that brings a little bit of texture. Again here, Sauvignon Blanc that will be more toward white Bordeaux than New Zealand, less aromatic, more on the texture. I think for wine pairing it's just fantastic. So keep it on your radar if you have to go in the region in the next few weeks or months.
Finally, well, almost finally, we touch upon Riesling. Now, Riesling is one of those grapes that I felt I was in love with for many, actually perhaps the best part of decade and a half, shall we say. And then I realized perhaps it was only sommeliers and academics who really liked Riesling. So I've been moving away from Riesling. I know that may be sacrilege in Ontario, but there are still some good Rieslings out there. So let's
Yes.
talk about Riesling in Ontario.
I think that Riesling, as much as it's a varietal that's been the foundation of the region because
Yes.
it was making perfect sweet wine, ice wine, and late harvest, it became for me a very important varietal because stylistically, I think the climate is just perfect for Riesling. It's making some very nicely balanced Riesling, and as much as I'm not a big Riesling drinker, I think the region is doing some fantastic job with it. Food pairing wise, I feel that the region has been as well like balancing a little bit more the sugar, making sure that we're going more to the drier style of wine,
Yes.
which makes it much easier for food pairing. At the same time, I really believe that the next generation, the young drinker, will start with Riesling because they're looking for something that has a kiss of sugar, something that has bright acidity that is alive, and something that is aromatic. And that's exactly, and not too expensive, so that's exactly what Riesling for me will be. I believe, a very important varietal in the future for the region.
Now, you mentioned sweet wines, and as you were talking about sweet wines today, I can remember a sommelier, a very revered sommelier many years ago, saying to me, there are too many sweet wines in the world for the market. However, today, you were telling me that you absolutely adore sweet wines, particularly in a kind of pairing situation. Let's talk about that.
I used to drink lots of sweet wine.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
When I started in the industry, like 20 years ago.
Right.
I don't really anymore because I eat maybe less sugar
Yes,
overall.
yeah.
But I realized that people, when visiting here, they want to taste sweet wine. People, when drinking sweet wine, they won't be tempted to buy a bottle, but they will be very open to tasting a glass. So putting sweet wine by the glass on our wine program is key and is working. I know it's working because I've been experiencing it at the Ritz, and it's when you put it in a pairing, you're kind of adding a discussion in between the glass and the plate, and that's where I think the magic starts, where like you're gonna have like a bite of something sweet, and then the glass of wine is gonna arrive complementing it, and you're gonna go from the glass to the plate, and at some point you're just gonna be like realizing that everything's empty.
Now, international travellers will probably always think about ice wine when it comes to Canada, but there are many more options out there. It was interesting to hear you mention the Indian summer Riesling from Cave Spring, and I haven't seen that in some time, but the late harvest styles do very well in Ontario for sure.
I think the late harvest is overall more interesting for food pairing.
Yes,
and
for sure.
a quality pleasure, so cost of the product. Late harvest for me is really the most interesting sweet wine in the category, as you can drink a little bit more than ice wine, but as well price wise it's going to be always a little bit more interesting. So hopefully, like I've convinced my colleague to keep them on the back of their mind when they build a dessert list, to make sure that they add one or two suggestions of sweet wine for the region.
Superb. Élyse Lambert, Master Sommelier, thank you so much for joining us
you.
at Good Food Revolution today. Great to see you, and I'm glad we have a lovely day, lovely location to do this interview.
Yeah.
It's not
amazing.
often we have such a nice place with a nice soundtrack as well.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye-bye.